you, Reverend Nick, for that wonderful greeting, without which we would think we were in the wrong place. We are. Everybody knows they're in Littleport Village Hall and they hear Reverend Nick's cheery greeting. The wartime spirits don't mention the war. Well, thank you all for getting here in this wintry evening. Thank you, of course, to Samantha and Hannah for being there and crewing your station as you do every week. Thank you very much. And we thank Linda for doing her door services every week without fail, no matter what. Thank you very much. And of course to our wonderful congregation. Yay! Whether it's a congregation of 1, 2, or 100 or 1,000,000. And as I said to Reverend Nick, you know, over a period of time, because we're online, of course it will become about 1,000,000 eventually. Not that we'll be around to see it, perhaps, I don't know. Perhaps there'll be an upsurge of interest in spiritual services and everybody will be watching. So this evening, I have the very great privilege of being the chair for my one-time student, my protege, as I irritatingly call him, Reverend Nick Brown. And I would now like to hand the service over to Reverend Nick so that you can have the benefit of his opening prayer and his address. And of course, after that, his demonstration of mediumship, which of course is what our spiritualist religious belief is founded upon. So, Reverend Nick, over to you.
Thank you.
The other thing is, I think that, you know, we're one of the very few churches that applauds our vicar.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome, and thank you, Reverend Lynn, for stepping in. And of course, for those watching at home, you can probably see, we can see you because, of course, Reverend Allen will be giving his usual reading. He's back giving Samantha's voice a rest this week because she's got a bit of a croaky one, so we'll be gentle with her tonight. So, Hannah, that means you're shouting a little bit louder tonight with the numbers. And, of course, our technical director, Jack, looking after the techie side here. And yes, you just did see him wave there. So let's all join together, both here in the room, all the way at home, whether you're watching live now or later, it doesn't matter. Join in as we join together and give thanks for being here with our opening prayer. As we say, Great Spirit, Father, Mother God, we thank you for the opportunity to join together as friends, to unite under your banner of love and light and friendship, to witness the proof and the truth that life is indeed eternal. As we begin this service, we ask the veil to be lifted, and all those that love us and all those that watch over us dearly draw close so that they may let us know that they are here. And as we place this service in your care and keeping, we make the statement as ever, that everything we do will be in the name of love, in the name of truth, and in the name of light. Amen. Amen. Well, I was instructed by our chair that now would be the time to do some speakings, as she used to say to me in the circle room. And of course, I'm sure you're all getting used to my speakings. Now, one of the topics of hotly contentious debate when I've been up here speaking over the last few months, of course, has been social media. And you're always, well, I can see Barbara's face, bless her. Every time I mention social media, there's this fear of, oh, he's going to be on one. Something's got his goat this week. But that's the thing. Not this week. This week has shown the true colours and true purpose of being able to communicate with each other as human beings, as living spirit. You see, there are times when it gets a little bit grumpy. There are times when it gets a little bit sassy. But there are those magical moments, Those moments that we must grasp by the nettle and join together and make the most of. This week I have spoken to Christian ministers, I've spoken to rabbis, I've spoken to theologians, I've spoken to atheists, I've spoken to Gnostics, agnostics, and everything in between. And do you know what? It's been wonderful. The open-mindedness of that conversation, the open-mindedness of that ability to hear each other's point of view without necessarily accepting it, has been a wondrous, wondrous, and very therapeutic gift. Now, one of my particular new favorites at the moment is TikTok. And if you've been following Facebook at all, either myself or Reverend Lynn, or in this case, both, you'll know that I did a TikTok that did quite well. It's currently 11,000 views. I'm quite chuffed. And it was a bit of a joke and a bit of a laugh. But then that bit of a laugh and a little bit of a joke also had some genuine intent in learning and educating and developing. And of course, when you make people laugh, you don't shut them off. When you make people smile, you don't shut them down. When you make people realize that you don't necessarily have a different of opinion to what they do, just that you wear different clothes or call yourself something different, then you open up the world to communication. And of course, we spiritualists are all about communication. Talking to one another, talking to each other's living spirit, but also communicating with the great spirit and those wondrous spirit people that we thought we'd lost that are still with us. I know that this hall is filled to the rafters with hundreds of thousands of spirit people all gathered here tonight saying, we were there, watching, listening, and maybe even having a 10-penneth in or two to one or two of the congregation. But they also have their 10-penneth, both individually and collectively, when it comes to philosophy. The collective knowledge of hundreds of thousands of spirit people all working through the Great Spirit, saying, my relative's going through this, my relative's going through that. Don't forget to mention this. Don't forget to mention that. You must remember to say this. You mustn't forget to say that. And whatever you do, don't say that. Keeping it balanced, keeping it uplifting, keeping it fair. Now, when it comes to religion, that's the sticking point. Because everyone has their own opinions. Everyone has their own ways, their own doctrines, their own dogmas. But let's think about this for a second. If we set aside all of the variegated differences, if we set aside all of the ways of doing it, surely, if the Great Spirit is infinite, they all came from the same place. It's just culture, region, the individuals involved in channeling that information, that influence and change that message. It's perfect human nature to do that. It's what we do. I've told the story of the tree and the three people who speak different languages 100,000 times. So I don't need to say it again. But the truth and the proof is in the small, subtle nuances. Those small, subtle nuances that do something really wondrous and really special. They all agree. If you were to go back 5,000, 6,000 years to the beginnings of Judaism, they weren't scientists. They didn't have microbiology. They didn't have microscopic cameras. But somehow, someone or something knew that in order for there to be oxygen, the waters needed to separate. An organism living in an ocean without an atmosphere on a ball of rocks spinning silently in the middle of nowhere in all of creation This organism ate the carbon dioxide, created oxygen, created clouds, the ocean, the separation of the waters in the sky, the waters below, the atmosphere, creating a firmament, because the atmosphere is what gives us the colour of the sky we have in daylight. They couldn't have known that. They wouldn't have known that. And yet that element of truth was there. Now, it didn't obviously take 24 hours. But if you see the 7 days of creation, see 7 periods of light and dark. Darkness, we know at this time of year, where it's cold and we must go within ourselves and protect ourselves because it's dark and it's dangerous and it's miserable. And then a period of light, where things grow and expand and we can reach out and be aware and be awake and be alert. Unless you're me and have a heavy lunch, in which case you'll sleep through anything. But that's another story. But think of 7 periods of light and dark, 7 ages. And then you have a more accurate understanding of what those wondrous people channeling that information through were trying to tell us. And it's the same for every religion. Today, after a period of time where we had celebrated All Hallows Eve, we now, as a world, can say, Happy Diwali, the festival of light, a time where lights must shine to bring truth, to bring knowledge, to bring joy. What more could you really want? I'll tell you. You could take out, excuse me, this is where they say slow down, Nick, and don't get grumpy. Take out all of the grumpiness. Take out all of the dogma. Take out all of the rubbish that human beings have stuffed into it. Because that is the best way to move forward. Because then all religions could be united in the truth. Now you're saying, Nick, never going to happen. Now we all know how toxic Nick thinks TikTok can be. But something wonderful's been born on TikTok through people coming together. In December, a group of individuals are hosting a conference called Decon 2021. The deconstruction of all of the old dogma, where people who feel pushed out of religions can come together and talk and rebuild the love of God. Very different views, very different opinions. But guess what? No one's excluded. I've already bought my ticket. I'll be there. It's going to be late for me because it's in America. But I don't care. It's worth it. The ability to unite. And just because I'm Nick Brown, the Christian spiritualist from Littleport, I'm not excluded. But I've had to wait. And I've had to reach out all the way across to America to get that. Because I can't get it in my own country yet. But I promise you, my friends, times are a-changing. Where people with good conscience, with good heart, with good compassion, will not exclude, will not condemn, will not shed everything out to be a sin. The only sin is exclusion. The only sin is bullying. The only sin is standing there and say, I know everything and you're wrong. That's the sin. None of us know everything. And I'm going to say something, in the words of TikTok, that might cause me a little bit of grief. I'm going to say something that, as infinite and all-powerful as God is, God doesn't know everything. And there's a reason. We're that reason. In the beginning, there was a word. But before that word was a thought. And that thought was, Cool, big old universe, and I'm really, really lonely. I need some company. I also need some entertainment. Now, he couldn't, like our congregation watching at home, flip over to EastEnders, even though it's just finished, you know. So he said, let there be some light in the universe. Let there be a physical world. Let there be beings on that planet and that planet and that planet. Somewhere where they can live their life free of infinite, free of all knowledge. And it broke itself down and embedded itself in those evolved animals that existed and called them people, called them humans. There is only one race, the human race. But just like those beginnings of this world where people thought, oh, this country is the only place that exists, and then found that there were other countries with different cultures, who's to say that there are not humans scattered about all throughout the universe, all going through the same rigmarole we are? Now, there's one to think about. Aren't I naughty? Here's another one to think about. There's an old saying, can God build a rock so heavy that even he can't lift it? What if that's the wrong question? What if God can build a puzzle so complex, so complicated, and so annoying, even he can't solve it? That puzzle is us, because we are the universe made manifest. We are all part of the Great Spirit, trying to understand itself. Because if you're an infinite being and there's infinite possibility, you've also got infinite trains of thought and view. And we're all those little pieces of that jigsaw puzzle, trying to work it out. And in so doing, helping the Great Spirit to work it out. So we have a responsibility to be kind to one another, to listen to one another, to try and understand one another. And so long as it doesn't hurt someone, harm someone, what's wrong with it? If it's all about love and light and kindness. And I'm going to end on this, because as you all know, I like to study and prepare. I learnt something wonderful this week, and I'd already heard half of it in one of our circles, actually. Christianity was not, of course, originally called Christianity. And in actual fact, Christians were given their names by the Roman soldiers who actually didn't like them. And yet that name has stuck. What did the early Christians call themselves? Well, I'm not going to butcher those foreign words written in Scripture, but I will tell you what it does mean. The gathering. We here on a Thursday gather every night across small distances in this room, across vast distances to our friends all around the planet who join and watch us every night. We are a gathering. We are the gathering. And I know with great hope and with great joy, and I know from what I've been given from the world of spirit with great hope and with great joy, that there is a new gathering, a new beginning, where all can walk in peace and in love, so long as we use the ears that we were given, the eyes that we were given, and very sparingly, the mouth that we were given. Choose your words, choose your thoughts carefully, say them with peace and love, but make sure you look and you listen as well. Because no matter what, it's still a beautiful world out there. But first we need to make sure we keep it that way. And if we can't keep ourselves good, we most certainly aren't going to keep our home good. We need to do both. We need to do better. And you know what? We're the human race. We can do better because we've done it before, over and over and over again. But this time, we need to make sure we do it properly. Dump the dogma, share the love in light and in truth for everyone equally. And on that note, I will say thank you for listening and God bless you all.
Well, thank you, Reverend Nick, for that interesting and thought-provoking address. And I know that your spirit guides and inspirers were there every bit of the way. And of course, they don't mind how long they speak for.
No.
Even though we know that about a quarter of an hour is probably at optimum for...
Which I did quite well and stuck to for a change.
Did you?
Yes, I did. do you want a rewind? I can check.
No. No, it was really very, very interesting. And I know that people will be most interested, both here, of course, and at home. And of course, tonight, I have the pleasure of hoping that you are able to take a couple of minutes to link in to that world of spirit on a different level, because I'll give you a couple of minutes.
Well, we've got the healing and the reading first.
We have that too. You know, the thing about mediumship is that we need to tune in, don't we, Barbara, to those different, Reverend Barbara, I do beg your pardon, to those different levels of spirit existence in order to get the communication that we need from the level that we need. And of course, where Reverend Nick has been on one of these sort of high and mighty planes, where all these sort of amazing people sit and pontificate, and mostly, if you see them at all, they're in robes, aren't they? And then, of course, we have to come down a few notches to meet our family members, not because they're not as good as those celestial beings, but because they want to remind themselves of us and talk to us on our level, which of course is a much, much, much lower level. And really that's something that Nick was referring to as well in his address. So thank you, Reverend Nick, for that very, very interesting talk. And of course there is now going to be the reading, is it? Are we having the reading first? Yes. We're going to have a reading
from
and we've got Samantha.
Reverend Alan.
Oh, Reverend Alan. Forsyth, sorry. Oh. Well, we're going to have Reverend Alan Sutton, who is waiting in his home by the wonders of modern technology, organised by our maestro over there, Jack Bing. And, oh, I beg your pardon,
Wrong
Jack's
one.
right. Sorry, Samantha. I was divorcing you and marrying you off to somebody else. You can't get the start, can you?
Hello, Alan. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, Nick. I'm good.
Yes, quite. Yes, get on with it. So,
you say hello?
yes, Reverend Alan. I'm so pleased to see you. And you'll be giving us a wonderful reading, and I shall now sit down and take my seat while we listen to you.
All right, I took some time actually today to pick this out, and I came across it and it really resonated with me, and I think in a lot of ways it wraps up what Reverend Nick's address was about. And it's called Fallen Angel. I am a fallen angel. I've reaped what I have sown. I left my home in paradise for the lure of the unknown. I was enticed to sensuality. It seemed like a better life. If only I had known about the toils, snares, and strife. It seems I wasn't satisfied to be blissful and inspired. I should have known this world would leave a lot to be desired. Who can better understand the life for which I yearn than all the fallen angels who are longing to return? Someday I will find my way back to the promised land. Now that I have been here, I will not come back again. I am a fallen angel. I seek assurance from above. I long to be with God again, to be enveloped by his love. Thank you.
Is it in death? No. Or shall I?
Thank you, Reverend Allen. That was wonderful. And it did indeed tie in with the address. And that always is amazing to all of us who look for that sort of synchronicity between all the work that everybody does here. And of course, the next thing that we're going to have is our healing prayer. And that will be given by Reverend Nick, of course, and you will have an opportunity at home to join us in prayer. Thank you, Reverend Nick.
Thank you. And may I say thank you, Alan, as well. And do stay on for the healing. So, friends, let us join together and remember that we can ask for ourselves at this time and in need of healing, as well as asking for others. This week, I would like to mention Sharon Hall and her family. I would also like to mention my friend GB and his family, and to all those families that are in need, in particular a young man called Simon and his family who need some upliftment at this time as well. And so let us join together and think of all of them as we say that healing prayer, ready for that moment of silence, of upliftment and candlelight. As we say, Great Spirit, Father, Mother, God, here we bring unto you all those who are sick and suffering and in need of comfort, be they sick in mind, body or spirit, that it may please thee to heal them. This we ask for those we know, for those we do not know, and those who have no one to ask for them. We ask for them now. Amen.
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 Well, that was truly uplifting, and I'm sure that everybody has benefited from that. And now, of course, it's time for Reverend Nick to demonstrate that life does go on after this physical life finishes, and that our loved ones are able to reach back out to us and to give us proof that they are actually continuing to live, albeit in a different way, in a different dimension. And we prove that all the time through our spiritualist mediums. And I'm happy to say there are at least a couple here in the congregation. And there are none more critical, you know, of other mediums and mediums. And we alight on every little subtlety. And we think, don't know if that was correct or not. I wonder if that's absolutely right. But, you know, it's the salt, isn't it? It's the salt on our egg. You know, it's the pickle on our cheese sandwich. Being able to listen to our loved ones attempting to get through to us through any medium that they choose. And of course, they choose who they're going to speak through. So sometimes people are disappointed. They go to their church, they sit there, they wait for a message, they hear everybody else getting messages, they don't get one themselves. And they have to just be content knowing that other people have had that proof, and by receiving that proof themselves, it also proves to those just listening in and as observers. But it is possible for all our loved ones to get through to us if there was only enough time down here, enough spiritualist churches, and enough mediums to get them through. Because of course, you know, nobody's going to come through somebody they don't like. And that's the other thing that we have to put up with. You know, some people are anti-gay when they're down here, and when they move over to the next dimension, they don't necessarily shed that. Or they are gradually learning, but they still hold on to their old physical ways and don't want to move forward. And therefore, if there is a gay medium, they certainly won't come through him or her. But sometimes they do, just because they have to. And then it's quite good fun. I can vouch for that myself. And I know that Reverend Nick will be able to vouch for it. But the fact is that people on the spirit side of life do, as we know, choose the mediums that they will come through. So not everybody can be satisfied with a message at any one time. But I know that some of you, at least tonight, will receive a wonderful, comforting message from those that you've loved and still love, of course, but you think you've lost. And of course, in the physical sense, it does feel very hard to miss that physical presence, even though we know that their spirit is around and living on. But I know that tonight you will have that upliftment and that knowledge that there is life after death, there is life after this life. And it's possible to communicate back with us through the good offices of a good medium, Reverend Nick. Reverend Nick has just had his reverie disturbed by me speaking his name rather loudly, as we used to do in circle, to wake him up. Did I say that? Thank you, Reverend Nick. We look forward to your demonstration of mediumship very much.
Thank you.
And I hope it's better than my chairing was tonight.
Your chairing was lovely. Stop worrying.
Thank you, Reverend Nick.
Thank you. Well, hello again, everyone. Hello. Do you know what? As I wasn't chairing tonight, I didn't get to do that. Hello again, everyone. Hello. There we go. That's more like it.
I'm sure they heard you upstairs.
I'm sure they did. And of course, I will just point out that it wasn't just circle that she had to wake me up. It was during one of her 10-minute addresses as well. But that's another story for another day.
Thank you, dear Reverend Nick.
I suffered for it for about 3 years, and I fear that the 3 years is going to start again. Well, friends, of course, today I am your medium. We do, of course, send our love to Sharon and her family. And hello, everyone at home. I'm going to wave at the screen. I should be waving at the camera. Many of you, I think everyone here tonight has actually seen me work before, because it's not too long ago that I actually served this wondrous congregation. But it changes from time to time, depending on the circumstances and situations. But what doesn't change is that what's going on during my preparation and whilst I'm starting to speak at the beginning of my demonstration, what I'm talking about actually is part of the message. And this whole interest in not necessarily getting the technology right is one of those aspects. And I am also very much aware of a pain that I'm having here. It's presenting itself to me as a tickle, but I also feel like it might have been cut at some point in time. May I come to you, Reverend Lynn, please?
Oh, thank you very much.
Would you understand I'm not getting male or female at the moment. It's just those little bits of information building up that picture. Would you understand? I do feel family because I'm very much aware of an interest and an amusement, and on some levels, an absolute disgust of my address.
Yeah.
And they do laugh because they have, shall we say, a little bit better perspective on what it was that I was trying to say. But in thank you. In her earthly life, she would have ripped me a new one for saying some of the things I did tonight, because it went completely against everything that she understood, believed, and felt within her heart. But of course, she's aware that, shall we say, human interpretation, no matter how close to the world of spirit, always has its limits. So she says, you did all right, kid, but actually there's still a few bits you missed out. So as much as she's admitting her view on this way of life, as much as she's admitting her view on this way of life have changed,
and,
she also
you used the right word too, because kid was something that only she would have said. I don't know anybody else that would say that.
Oh, wow, bless you. Thank you for that. And you're aware of why I'm feeling like I did?
Yeah, I think she's signalling me that she understands about how I feel.
Right, bless you. Speaking of feeling, because I've seen her before when she was dancing and getting me kicking my legs up, but tonight I just feel absolutely flat and my back is killing me. So I feel like I'm seeing a different side to this person.
You're seeing a different person.
I'm seeing a different person. Why would I feel like a mother to you, though?
Because she was my auntie, my mother's sister. Right.
So that's why I felt like a mother to you, because as soon as I felt that motherly warmth, it was like, yeah, I know. Yes, once again, we do lead ourselves down the garden path sometimes. But yeah, I feel like a mother to you, and I want to mother you. But I don't feel that knee kicker. I feel that really cruddy back. And
again, she's letting me know that she knows about myself.
I have to thank you once again to confirm and build up the evidence of this individual to make sure, because that's what you do when you're giving a message to the person who taught you how to be a medium, if nothing else. And that was her, not me as well. I have to say this. You take after your aunt a whole lot more than you do your mother on so many levels.
Yes, I do.
Because I'm seeing the Lynn that I was studying under with this lady, which I didn't see with Mum.
Yeah, no.
And this lady was a huge influence on you.
Yeah.
Because you get so much of your determination. What was that? And consternation from her.
Yes, yeah, we were very, very, very similar. In fact, I was going to actually move to be near her at one time in the West Country, just because she needed a hockey goalkeeper.
I see. And what she's actually telling me right now is, she said, in all your life, you thought you've been stuck between a rock and a hard place. Good luck. And it literally is that there is that humor.
She was basically an atheist.
I see. Okay, thank you. It's really, really strange, because one of the first images that I saw when I first started linking in was actually a fig. And I thought, oh, is this going to be some wonderful religious thing? Because as we all know, it was a fig tree, not an apple tree in the Garden of Eden. But she was just she'd got this fig around, and as I opened my eyes, she actually chucked it at me, as if to say, there you go, just have it, just have it. She threw it in my lap, and there was no reverence whatsoever. And I do feel that not just on the religious side, but her whole personality was irreverent.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I actually have to say that this is one of the most endearing things about her, is that she just doesn't care what she says and who she says it to. So long as she gets her point across, she's happy. And to be fair, she's also saying, and I don't care whether people believe me or not, because I've made my point and they'll find out. They'll find out I'm right.
It's just so like her. So like
And
her.
I have to give you, there's an anniversary coming up. We'll slow down. I've seen that date before today. Make sure, double check, please. No, I've got to give you the 16th of February as an important date.
Okay.
And also a bit closer, or I don't even know what date it is, but around about now, the 6th as well. So the 6th and the 16th of November. But I also want to jump to February with that as well. So I'll give those to you. You can confirm or deny later. What is that? Come on. Okay, thank you. She's also very, very naughty, because she's reminding me of what you were saying about people not coming through certain mediums for certain reasons. And she's saying, well, at least you know I've grown a little bit. And I'm sure it's not because of what you were mentioning, but because of something else that's part of me, that perhaps she wouldn't have had, if you'll understand my point.
Yeah.
That was a really bad choice of words, wasn't it? But that's another thing with her. She was subtle, but she was naughty. She was very, very good with her words. And she could say 5 things at once in the same sentence, just by the selection of the words that she used. And she said she won many battles, not because she was overly clever or overly right. It's just that she confounded people and they gave up because they just knew that they weren't going to win.
She was the head of her I beg your pardon, Towns Women's Guild. She was very high up in that.
I see.
Her local, all her local stuff.
I'm also, I'm being made aware of her hands as well. I do know that she was very physical in her action. So when that hand started to go, because I'm feeling it seizing up and I'm feeling it not moving so much, that was when you saw frustration rather than consternation.
It's all very that's all very evidential for me, because she had a stroke in front of me when we were sitting at a table. Right. She was opposite me, and it was her hands that went.
I see. Thank you. Well, I have to say that she's reminding us. I say reminding us because we know this, but it's sometimes good to be reminded of these things. Don't have them anymore, so it's not a problem, is it? And I do feel that was her way of talking to people as well. It's like she would be looking around the corner at you every time she was making a point.
Just like that.
And she said, I don't have them anymore. So although she remembers her physical actions, she doesn't literally have them. However, she does say there's still plenty of walls that she can poke her head around. It's just that you don't always see it. Thank you. Even you don't always see it. And I have to put it that way. Once again, I do feel, and yes, I am. She says, you're enjoying this, aren't you? I said, reminding you who's boss. And it's such a wonderful feeling that she has to be able to remind you who's boss. And also, thank you, to remind you that you don't have to be the boss at all times, because there are those there to help and support you and lift you up.
Thank you.
When in times of need.
Thank you.
And I will be keeping an eye on you and all of them, and woe betide anyone who does anything that they shouldn't.
Thank you.
So I will give you that, and I will say God bless you.
Thank you very, very much, Nick. Thank you. Reverend Nick, even.
That's okay.
Yeah, that was an auntie that, in fact, I'd been thinking about as well.
Bless her.
Because
She's lovely to work
her
with.
Strength and how she was.
It must have been because I was talking about atheists being nice to me earlier.
Yes, I think so.
And in actual fact, the taking off the glasses as well.
Yeah.
It's just a parting thing. Thank you. God bless you.
No, thank you. We even went to the same school.
Oh,
not
wonderful.
at the same time, of course.
Well, well, it is possible. It is possible, but not likely. Not likely. Bless her heart. Well, thank you, son. Right, let's see who is waiting in the wings. I've got a joker here. I know I've got a joker here because I'm just waiting in the wings and suddenly I'm flapping my hands like a little birdie. Right, thank you. I'm being made aware of a gentleman coming forward who is... Thank you. I feel like I'm shrinking a little bit, but not much. But I do feel a little bit lower down in height, so probably around about there on me. I'm also aware that he... Yeah, okay, thank you for that. I felt myself getting a little bit more padded, and I was about to say, and he's more padded than me, and he turns around and says, yeah, but not much. So I have got a joker here. I have got a laugher here. Someone who didn't take himself too seriously, but then in turn didn't expect or allow anyone else to take themselves too seriously either. He's quite a jovial and uplifting character, but also a woman. He doesn't like me saying, I've got to come to you, Barbara. He doesn't like being referred to as warm and cuddly, but he was. Would you be aware of a gentleman, a fatherly figure, who would have been someone who would have taken care of you, uplift you, been that support mechanism to you in a fatherly way, who would fit that description? I'm also being made aware that I've got a much stronger jaw now. So I do feel that he was more padded, but in the good way rather than my way. You don't understand that, do you?
I do understand.
Oh, you do? Would you understand that he feels fatherly towards you?
Yeah.
Because I don't feel like Dad, but I want to be.
No, he wasn't my father. No.
Yeah. But you'd understand why he was fatherly towards you. I have to make... Because that really, really meant a lot to him, to be someone like that to you. And that's where the warm and fuzzy bit comes in. He says, I'm not going to be talking about it too much longer, don't worry about it. Because he liked to be that jovial, uplifting... There's a word I'm looking for, but I can't quite put my finger on it at the moment, other than any words that are particularly naughty. So I've got naughty words there, but I'm trying to be polite with it. But I know I'm going to struggle to edit this gentleman in the sense of when he gets on the flow, shall we say. And the sense of humour has just come through again, because this is, and you thought you had it rough the first time round, so that, thank you very much. And he wasn't one for being formally dressed. I've got to undo my sleeves, I've got to roll my sleeves up. If it was warmer in here, I would take my jacket off because that feels restricting now. Although I will say that he did struggle with buttons towards the end of his life, because I couldn't undo that one, and it was like, yeah, well, that's how I was. That's how I was. So you would have like half a conversation by the time one button was undone, and that was frustrating that you noticed, because he thought he was really, really good at covering it up, but he was rubbish. And I really am struggling to keep him in check on the language front. So I give you that. Without that way, I can give you that he was saying naughty words. Oh, that was the other BBC theme tune. Somebody forgot to turn his mobile off tonight. But yeah, he's letting me know what he was like, and I can let you know what he was like without actually saying the words that he would have said. He just stood there. He literally went, I'm going to catch him. I'm going to get... It's like a challenge to him to get me to say something that I shouldn't in this... Oh, bless you, thank you. It's like, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. I always find that the things that I don't consciously do are so much more reflective of spirit. I love the way that they do that, which worries me that he will slip me up at some point. I apologise in advance to everybody here present.
I saw one of these things of cider.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. The frustration is still the big thing for me. I still feel really frustrated. And I know that he was good at covering these things up. But the point is, he wasn't. You could see right through it. You could see what he was up to. You could see what he was doing. I'm reminded now that Reverend Lynn, as she looks round at my phone, did say that there was something about seeing a thing of cider. But he was frustrated by the fact that I'm distracted by my phone, that I'm the person that would address everyone in the room. It's my girl. It's me and you. No one else. And, you know, that's one of the things that the physical side of what's going on in the hall that they can use to help me get that across. Exactly. You and me, nothing else matters. And that really was the one, thank you. That was the one time he didn't feel frustrated. That frustration started to float away and drift away and disappear every time he looked into your eyes and you looked into his.
And I want to say to you is that he would be on TikTok with you.
Oh,
Simply because he was a Buddhist.
Ah, wow. Oh, bless
So
him.
he loved your dress.
Thank you. And of course, one particular type of, not all Buddhists, but there is a particular region of Buddhism that does celebrate Diwali, even though it's a small part of it. So I'm sure that tonight would be all about enlightenment for him too. But that frustration he sees in you quite frequently, and he wants it to stop. Everything that's been helping me to get this message across, that damn thing, he got me, he wins, I said damn. It could have been a lot worse. That thing going off, distracting me. All of the distractions in the... I know, Barbara, that you are not a huge fan of technology, but it's not that. That was just a symbol and a signal of frustration. For you, your frustrations need to be dealt with in another way, because these frustrations can't just be switched off with a button. You say, it is just me and you now. You give so many people such wonderful guidance and advice. Shame you can't take it yourself, there you go. Take it, learn by it, live by it, because it will be just like when I was looking into your eyes and you were looking into mine, and that frustration will just drift away. Either that, he says, or you could pick up a jug of Reverend Lynn's cider. said I'll join them. I have to give you one last thing before I move on. What's that? I can't read. I don't even think it's the same. Okay. I was going to give you a flower, and he said, no, it's not a flower. It's a brooch, but it looks like a lotus, but I know it's not. You get that? Good. That's his parting gift to you, and it's also his parting medal to you, because he says you do deserve one. You're not the only one. And that's the first time he's looked away from you for the last 5 minutes. You're not the only one. But he does give that with a great deal of love and a great deal of upliftment. And he says, just let it drift away. And I'll say God bless you. Now, let's see where I'm going next. Thank you. I know I'm becoming more formal, and I'm going to come to you. I've already been dragged over. He says, over the corner. He's very formal. I've got to do my buttons up. See how quickly that was in comparison, though. He was very quick with his buttons. He was also very good at pushing other people's buttons, I have to say. The whole thing about this stiff upper lip side of him that would push people's buttons. I am feeling, thank you, I'm feeling a great deal of pain in my abdomen as part of his condition of passing. I'm being made aware of a very military attitude, not just someone who was in the military, but he was very military. And I do feel very grandfatherly towards you. Would you understand everything about this gentleman that I've just given you, right down to him pushing some people's buttons? Not yours, but other people's.
I didn't know my grandpa, but just standing parking before I know.
Well, that means that's how he managed to not push your buttons then, you didn't know. And that's the thing, though. I can only give you what he gives me, and he might not give me the things that you've been told. But would you be aware that in spite of that attitude, he did have a sense of humour? And he was able to joke about other people, just not always about himself. That's not something you'd understand or know. Is there someone you can ask?
Yes, there is.
Well, in that case, please ask about that one. It's all about his sense of, and I'll be honest with you, it carried down a generation. The ability to joke about other people, but not himself. So would you understand that the child that he had, that is one of your parents, has a sense of humour about other people, but not himself?
Yeah.
So Dad's got a sense of humour similar to Grandad, and he will be prepared to take the mick out of other people, but not himself. He isn't very self-deprecating. Did you get that?
I think so, yeah.
So he'd be quite happy to have fun at you, but as soon as you poke a giggle at him, oh, he can't do that. That kind of attitude. Probably not as bad as Grandad, but there is an element of it that's carried down.
Right.
Would that be correct?
Probably with the grandfather, but I'm not sure.
Right, okay. That's fine. Ask if you can. Would I be right in saying that this is Dad's dad?
Yeah.
Well, that's a start then. Right. Thank you. As much as you don't, well, thank you. As much as you did not know him, he obviously knows quite a bit about you. He's coming. And there is, once again, everything that I do whilst I'm working is reflective of that individual that's coming through. I do feel that he was a very welcoming person to people, so long as they did as they were told. So we'd be quite happy to say, come in, But then if they looked at him funny, he'd well, sit down. And so he could turn on a sixpence. You heard that phrase before, turn on? He could turn on a sixpence. And once again, it softened, but it did carry down a little bit. For example, you, he's saying, are a very tolerant person, but there are certain things that people say or do that will just pull that rug right from under you, and suddenly that's it, right, I'm enraged and I will not tolerate that. And I do feel that you get that from him. Because it's the same reason that he was the way he was, is the same reason you are the way you are. He's saying it's because you have standards, and you have conditions, and you have situations that you accept, and there are things that you don't. And those things that you don't accept, you will stand up and be counted about. I feel you're going to get a lecture, I do apologise. But he's saying, you will not allow anyone to be pushed around. You will stand up for injustice. You will not allow anyone to be pushed about. You will not allow anyone to be told what to do. And then he turns around and says, oh wait, no, there is someone, yourself. You'll allow it as long as it's on you, but not on anyone else. And he said, he's just standing here. I wanted to be very swanky, casual steps. Like, no more. He's being very emblematic and leaving a very pregnant pause there. Because he's saying what you need is some silence.
Yes.
What you need is some peace and quiet.
Yes.
And sometimes you can't escape that voice that's going around your head. But he's saying you can. Turn on some music that you get away with the fairies with. Sit there and read a book that you like and let it carry you away to a different world. Just so long as when you come back, you put as much effort, strength, and determination into defending yourself as you do everyone else. That formal side of him is just expressing itself a little bit more formally now. And he just showed me himself. He would have had a handkerchief. I've got to do it. Because he's not. He feels half dressed. He also had a bit of this, I'm going to smash that thing in it. I have a handkerchief sticking out my pocket. And if it's a formal occasion, I've got to have some sort of blossom on my bosom. I said bosom. I'm a naughty boy. But yes, he would have worn flower at a special occasion, but he would have felt undressed if he wasn't wearing the bits and pieces. And I do know that some of those bits and pieces have been left behind and been separated. All of his little favourite bits and pieces, he's saying, have been pulled apart and they're not all together anymore. It's as though someone had this bit, someone had that bit, someone had the other bit. All of his possessions seem to be divided rather than in one location. Do you understand that? There seems to be that he had a few really favourite pieces, and for him it feels like they're apart rather than together, where they should be together, being worn. And that's the other thing, they're not being used, they're just being kept in a box to go tarnished and dusty. And he wasn't the kind of person who had things for the sake of having things. You are like that, actually. You won't have things for the sake of having things. It has to be practical, it has to be usable. He was the same. And what he's saying is, the things that he left behind are not being given the usage they deserve. So kick his ears for me when you see him. He's going to move away now and give me a chance to just try and get one more person in. He said, do you know why I used to have that in there? It wasn't to offer to anyone. He's saying, because it looked good and I looked good. When I felt good and when I looked good, it was the same thing. I didn't always feel great, but when I looked great, it made me feel it. Sometimes the only thing you need to wear to make yourself feel good is a smile, especially one as wonderful as you. And I'll say, God bless you, and thank you for listening. And now I'll take this on. He says, but it did come in handy sometimes.
Thank you.
Time for one more, boss?
One more, I think.
Oh, all right, okay. I'm being made aware of a lady here, and I say lady because I mean it. She was every inch a lady, and being quite tall, she had quite a few inches to be a lady. She has wonderful hair and it was always perfect. She had big glasses that were always perfectly polished and perfectly clean. And when she stood, her head was always held aloft, and it was as though if you didn't know her, you'd think that she was talking down to you, because her head would be up and she would be talking to you down there, and she would be talking like this. But it was just purely because she understood deportment and posture and poise, and she had it driven into her from such a young age that she couldn't do anything but stand like this, with the chin up and the shoulders back, and just speaking with pride. And because of her height, she did have to look down on people. But I also know from feeling this lady, she never looked down on a single person in the way people thought. And when they got to know her, they knew this fact as well. I feel very flighty with this lady, and she was a very flighty lady, but I'm also very much aware that she felt very, very flighty in her thought processes towards the end of her life. Can anybody accept that lady?
Kathy's mother-in-law. Yeah,
it's no relation. It's no relation. It's not a relation. But I am with you. I am with you. I have this really strong sense of familiarity.
Doris.
No, it's Maureen. Maureen. It's Maureen.
Oh, Maureen.
Maureen. It's Maureen.
Yeah.
I could never remember her surname. Thank you. She wants to come to you because you understood her better than anyone.
Yes, thank you. I did.
And you understand. Thank you. Right, it's just you and me now to suffer. And that, actually thinking about it, that's it. He was a little bit more polite about it, but she wasn't. I'm remembering things now. I thought she was not polite. She was actually quite abrupt and brusque. And although she did it in a loving way, she could come across as being very blunt. Sounds familiar? Thank you. But actually what she's telling me is that you two used to go off and talk when all of us were gasbagging about the flighty world of mediumship and the wonderful world of the afterlife. You two would just sit and chat about anything. And sometimes it was really, really random stuff. I have to get her to give me something that I wouldn't know, and I might have been in the room, but I certainly don't remember that. I am aware that she's actually a very good medium, although she certainly didn't have the belief in herself that everyone did. But she's also telling me, well, we also know someone else like that, because you come across as really, really confident, and everyone in the whole world knows you as this colourful, vivacious, bright and cheerful, loud person, which is how people saw Maureen.
Yeah.
But you know, as well as she knows, that she wasn't.
Yeah.
And you know, as well as she knows, that you're not.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
And she just wants it. I don't really remember this about her, but she just wants me to stare at you as though when she was trying to make a point, she would go quiet and just glare at you and give you the chance to speak.
Yeah.
And even when you weren't prepared to speak, she'd make you. And what she wants you to... you're feeling cold at the moment, and all
I've had the injection.
but even so, beyond that, at the moment you are feeling the cold an awful lot, more than you normally do. And she's saying, oh, I can feel it in the bones down here. It's really, really quite horrible. And she's also referring to her physical condition towards the end of her life. And she's telling me that, in a roundabout way, without giving away too much, this has concerned you more recently than not.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Oh, this is really quite heartbreaking to say, considering we were friends with her. She says, I didn't have as many people around me.
No, she didn't.
And she didn't, because her family...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You do.
Mm-hmm.
You
Thank you.
do.
Mm-hmm.
And and this is the thing about her, I do remember this much, even though she had glasses that covered half of her face, she could still look at you over them, and she's doing it now. She wants you to remember, thank you, who could forget, her on the platform. That sudden swift switch from this unconfident, quiet, nervous woman to this brave and bold, not knowing where it came from. She says, you've got that, but you need to stop pretending it and start being it. But you've got to open up to do that. And suddenly she's got pockets from somewhere, because she wants me to put, she must be wearing a trouser suit now. I don't ever remember wearing anything other than a dress and skirt, but she's told me to put my hands in the pockets to emphasise this. You, young lady, and she does call you young lady, because you are, to her. You, young lady, need to start believing that people care, rather than pretending that you think they do when you don't always. She says, the really bright, vivacious and bold you really does exist. You don't need to pretend, and you don't need to force it. So stop it. Yeah, and it was literally that sudden turn of the slap on the wrist. Stop it. And as for everything else that's worrying you, and as for everything else that you fear you might have in common with her, stop worrying about it. Because you do have people around you that are genuinely interested in the real you, not the you that you think that they I'm reminded that she loves to dance.
Yes.
And actually, so do you. But she's saying I would never do the same dances that you do. She was. I've got to say, I do apologise, Kathy. Her words are, I'm much more relevant. She was a very elegant lady. But the truth is, like, you do scrub up when you want to. I remember you well.
Yes, the black eye that was covered.
Yes. She says, I really could and would love to sit here and chew the cud with you all night, because that's what we would have done when we were all away dreaming fairies and dancing in the starlight. She said, but the truth is, I've said what I need to say. It's up to you to listen now and start living it real. And she wanted to, and she says, I will be watching and I am here to support you. She says, I'm not as dotty as I was towards the end now. I can still run rings around you, and I will continue to run rings around you if I need to. And she just brought out this wonderfully huge, what are they? They are chrysanthemums, but they're not the normal one. They're the one with the yellow centre.
Okay, yeah.
The proper pot mum type chrysanthemums. Yes. But they're a monster. He probably got them from his garden up there. Huge stems, big ones. And she says, I'm going to give you these because I was taller than you and you're looking for longer on you. And with that, I'll say and she does.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, friends, thank you all for listening. I hope that you've seen some truth and proof of life eternal. And on that note, I'm actually going to sit down and hand back to our Minister of Principality, Reverend Lynn.
Well, I think we'll all agree that was a splendid evidential demonstration of mediumship that we experienced here tonight. And anybody who wasn't actually here really missed out, I feel. But fortunately, through that, the wonders of modern technology, and Jack Wright.
She got the name right.
We've been able to beam you out
Into the ether.
Yes, into the ether, which is really marvellous, isn't it? I mean, when you think people used to think, well, that's impossible. You can't have a spirit world. You can't have anything you can't see. Come through to you. But then now we have all this amazing carry on, and we can say to people, well, actually, no, it's obviously true, because there are people that you can't see that are actually looking at you and are actually communicating with you. It was just wonderful. So thank you very, very much, Reverend Nick, and especially for our friend Maureen, who actually stood here with us.
Yes, she was.
Because she
right
was
there.
here on our fledglings night.
The first one that started the fledglings.
Yeah. Oh, was she?
No, she was. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it was me, and I think somebody else after. Because she was the seat before me. Can I just share this story?
Well, you're sharing it with me.
She was wonderful. Maureen was amazing. She was the least confident of the group. She's the most unsure. And I sat in my chair there, and she sat in her chair here. And your friend is going to be really, really happy now, because I'm going to quote her word for word. She sat here, and Lynn stood up and said, and now we will ask Maureen Swift to give her demonstration. And she sat there, and I just looked at her, and she took one last suck on a boiled sweet, looked down, put her hands on her knees, got up. Right, I'm coming to you. I've got this, and you know all about this, and you know all about this, and I can see all of this, and you know all about this, and you know all about that, and you know all about the other. God bless you. I'll see you soon. And this is what happened next. Nick, where the bloody hell did all of that come from?
Yes, I taught my students well.
Chink.
So, yeah. And,
Absent
yeah.
friends. That
Hi.
aren't so absent.
And to absent friends. But yeah, so we must thank you very, very much, Reverend Nick, for that lovely demonstration, especially as Reverend Nick stepped in at the last minute, because our booked medium unfortunately had a crisis at home, and we wish her father well at this time, and of course all their family. So I think we have a closing prayer. And after the closing prayer, we will, of course, then draw the raffle. And I don't know if you're going to have that on screen, are you? The raffle drawing. Good gracious me!
Yeah.
You know, there are no depths to which spiritualists won't sink to get an audience. We'll have to have our raffle on screen. You know, well, the point is this, that, you know, we can only imagine all as Reverend Nick pointed out, all the wonderful people who are here with us, and who are all looking after us and all want to see what we're going to win in the raffle. And, you know, that's all I can say. Somebody called Heath Robinson painted a wonderful picture called the Spiritualist Hall. If you can look that up on Google, I'm sure it will turn up. It's a beautiful picture of sort of Edwardian, I think Edwardian or Victorian, people dancing with nobody, apparently nobody. You know, sort of the partners are not actually visible. And that's what this raffle reminds me of. There's so many people here choosing the raffle prizes who we can't actually see, but we know they're there, prompting us to get things like crockery we do not need.
I knew you were going to be in trouble for that one.
Referring to last week's raffle. This is all part and parcel of the spiritualist lifestyle. So, you know, if you hanker after winning raffles and things like that, be a spiritualist. Yeah, so I say God bless to everybody, and to ask you, Reverend Nick, to close our service in prayer.
Thank you. Well, friends, let us join together in the briefest of moments, for once, of decorum, the only time of decorum, in fact, as we join together to send out our thoughts to the universe itself, to the Great Spirit, as we join and say, Great Spirit, Father, Mother God, we thank you for the opportunity to gather together, to unite under your banner of hope and friendship, to be here in this place of light, that we may join and unite in our knowledge and understanding that life goes on, and that the physical passing is just a simple transition for which we pass through and beyond. We know that these times are difficult for those that are left behind, difficult indeed for those involved, but we know that there is a promise of peace and upliftment for all involved with the passage of time, and by the grace of the world of spirit reaching out to us. As we leave this place, let us take that message with us, the hope of a new beginning, passing through difficulty, beyond pain, into a newer and fuller life. And let us be reminded of our principles, Great Spirit, that guide us and remind us that that does not have to be in the world of spirit, but we can make it possible also here in this life for each of us. And so we are reminded with that thought in mind as we go out and ask for your blessing on each one of us here and each one of us at home watching. We are reminded, as always, Great Spirit, that when in difficulty and in strife, we ask not that you move the mountain, just give us the strength to climb. Until we meet again, as ever and always, in your name. Amen.
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 Well, friends, let's have a big thank you for our step-in chair of the evening, Reverend Lynn. And of course, she's already thanked everybody, but I will again thank Hannah. I will thank Sam. I will also thank Bully and Henry, because I'll get in trouble if I don't. I will thank Mum, and I will, of course, thank Jack. Right, yeah.
And thank the audience.
And thank the congregation, absolutely. Thank yourself, clap yourselves, because without you, this would not be possible. So drag your friends off the street and bring them here, kicking and screaming if you have to, for we will continue. And of course, next week we are back with, did you say Colin Boswell? Next week we're back with Colin Boswell, which he's a good friend of ours, and he's an excellent medium as well, so I very much look forward to that. Well, oh, wonderful. And if anybody's in the King's Lynn direction on Sunday, speaking of Sunday, I'm actually serving King's Lynn Spiritualist Church on Sunday evening. One of my few churches that I will actually get out of the bedroom and off the computer to actually physically go and see. But I've also booked in 3 online ones for next year, early next year as well, for a few other churches. But I will give you the details of that another day. But for this moment at least, thank you all. May the peace of the Great Spirit go with you all. God bless you. And it's over to Raffle Corner.
Well, these are the ones we want pulled out, all right?
Right. Yeah. So if yours come out now, it's a bit. I'll have to watch. Next is 305.
305. Oh. No crockery, remember?
Just
Sorry?
305. Well, 305.
Ah!
Oh.
I need to start checking it. Get your mum with it.
I was going to
Cheese!
Oh, really?
3, 2.
Oh,
Let me check it this time. Yeah, all right.
Come on, clarify it. There we go. Oh,
Who's next, Sam? And Hannah.
all left.
oh, lovely. I like to put it up. I can't stand it. Oh, thank you.
It's 314.
314. What do you want, Mum? So there's a watch, there's spa. You won't want that, so no, you don't. You'll have the watch. So lovely watch, actually. That's so good. There you go.
That's right. It's 294.
294, anyone? Oh, is it yours? Oh, should I get something? Well, it's very appropriate since I'm all dressed in black. I'll go for the dairy milk.
273.
273.
Well done.
Before you say too much. What time is it?
That's it.
Is he working?
Oh, no, he's up. Well, his special prize is going to
288.
288.
288?
It costs art.
Yes, we were talking
Yeah. It always goes where it needs to go. Thank you to Bully's Special Prize Corner. I have to keep looking at these candles because I keep thinking they're real. They are really, really, I like them. I was about to say right, well friends, I can actually see for myself whether I'm getting it wrong or not this time. Do you want to close the service and say goodnight to everyone?
Yes, I probably will.
There you go.
One of the things, now listen when I'm speaking. Thank you all very, very, very much for coming here this evening. And thank you all at home for looking in. And I hope that you've enjoyed your experience. I'm sorry those at home who didn't get the opportunity to win something in our raffle, but perhaps you can go into your kitchens and maybe award yourself a biscuit or something as a prize for actually being with us tonight.
So he was going to say making it through.
I wasn't going to say that. You can tell this is the end of the service because people are getting out of their prams. So I've just got to say thank you very, very, very much, Reverend Nick, for a wonderful demonstration of mediumship tonight. Thank you. And also to all of you who've received those messages and were able to confirm all the evidence that you gave. Thank you very, very much to Samantha and of course Hannah, particularly, and especially for her donations of her art, which are obviously spirit inspired. And we know that Hannah, by the way, is a very good healer in training. That's correct, isn't it?
Yes.
And we love more healers. And of course, this is something that we'll be offering every Thursday evening here before the service and after it. People want to come along for that. And thank you very much to Jack Wright, our resident techno wizard there. And of course, he's a very talented man indeed. And I think that those videos that you made during lockdown where you were singing,
yes,
I think they're still available, are they? If we go
still
online.
on YouTube. Just search up the coronavirus lockdown, life begins again, sing along, and you can watch all.
Excellent, thank you, Jack. So all of you, I know, will take advantage of that, and know that some of those people here are celebrities. And my wife is signalling me to include Linda Brown in the thanks, because without Linda, it wouldn't be the same without her welcome and her taking the money off people for the raffle, etc. And so thank you so much, and to her helpers too. And it just leaves me to say thank you, Reverend Nick, for asking me this evening to chair for you, even if I made a little bit of a mix-up here and there and got the odd name wrong. And nearly gave you the wrong person as well when you were, interfering as I do.
Oh, I'm used to that by now.
I thought you
That's
might
how
be
I
after
learned.
those years. I mean, what is it? It's a long time.
We started in 98.
Yeah, since 1998.
It's 23 years.
23 years.
And I still haven't got a grey hair yet. Would you believe it?
Listen, dear, we wouldn't know if your hair was grey. You know what I mean? He does L'Oreal all on his own. He keeps them going.
Excuse me, this is perfectly natural for once.
I think that one of the nice things about our church is the good humour and the acceptance of everybody, whoever they are, and whatever they do to their hair, and whatever they wear, sometimes frocks, to work. On that spiritual note, I wish everybody a very, very good and blessed night. May you all feel healed and comforted and uplifted. by this evening's service. Thank you.
Thank you. Hit it, Maestro. Good night.
Good night.